Welcome to the Beasts Who Made Us podcast. I'm Cori, a dog trainer in Chicago. You may also know me as Venus and Mars Canine. And I talked today with my friend Paige. I think she has the coolest job in the world, and I think you're going to agree with me after listening to this episode. We talked about conservation research and detection dogs within it. And for those of you who don't know, detection refers to the for realsies professional version of nose work or scent work training. These dogs are highly skilled and highly trained to identify and indicate to target odors associated with this conservation research in this case. So buckle in for that and more. And here's the episode.
My name is Paige Smith. I am a dog trainer and a conservation biologist. I'm a canine field specialist and a nonprofit called Working Dogs for Conservation, where we train, handle, and work with different programs and projects with all different types of conservation and detection dogs.
I think that I didn't particularly know that this industry existed before knowing you. Like maybe I'd heard about it a little bit, but I think that maybe a lot of people have no idea what this is. So can you describe like what conservation work is and how it affects the world?
Yeah. So it's actually a pretty like wide variety of like quote unquote jobs. So conservation detection can range from in-house research, so discrimination work with diseases, to looking for, I think what most people see it as is looking for animal scat in the wild, and using dogs to help find elusive species or scat or signs of elusive species, endangered species, invasive species. So dogs can help with plant detection. We do a lot of invasive plant work, so it's easy for removal or just knowing how widespread an invasive plant is, or like maybe that there's not much left and you've worked really hard and now there's less of it. So dogs can really like, I don't know about all plants, but for some of the plants we do, they can find a plant before you can even see it, like before it's fully sprouted.
Whoa.
So they can really see like this small part of it before it becomes the plant that you're used to seeing, which is why we use dogs for things like that.
Whoa, that's crazy. Okay, yeah. And then I was going to ask, like, when I know that you're basically gathering information when you're out there detecting these various things, but then I was wondering what you do with that information.
That's such a good question. We're a nonprofit and we partner with different organizations. So it's not like just us deciding to go out there and do something for the most part. So a lot of our work, let's take our work with black-footed ferrets. So we've been working with various game and fish departments across the U.S. on black-footed ferrets. So we have multiple dogs that are trained on the odor of the actual animal. And then we go out into prairie dog towns that black-footed ferrets would populate. They're a super endangered small mammal, actually the most endangered small mammal in North America. And basically what happens is there's a breeding program with the National Black-Footed Ferret Conservation Center, and they will release black-footed ferrets in different locations in the U.S. And then our dogs will help alongside other processes to try and find these animals so that we can see how their populations are growing over time to better understand how they live in the wild, since they were almost extinct in the wild many years ago. So it's not just dogs out there. We work alongside other technology, other forms of research, and other forms of population counting. So for that project, we also have people called spotlighters out there at night. And black-footed ferrets are nocturnal. They come out at night and they have a bright green eye shine. So spotlighting is exactly what it sounds like. You shine a really bright light around the colony and hope to see that green light shining back at you. And that's an indication that there's a ferret coming out of a hole. And so then you can mark that hole, put a camera there, and we'll be able to capture camera images of these ferrets. So dogs, I think sometimes people think that the dogs are doing all of the work, but it really is a collaboration of many different forms of science. And dogs are just like one part of a big puzzle for for stuff like that, especially for like population density or even like diet, sex, like what does an actual population look like? What does it consist of?
It's interesting that obviously with dogs on the team like that, that must indicate that they have, a special talent in that field that is still beyond any other kind of technology that we've been able to make, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it would be beyond technology because it's not like the other processes that are working in conjunction with dogs are obsolete or don't work. They do work. When we're out there, if a spotlighter gets a ferret, we'll get a text that's like, hey, we found a ferret over here. And then maybe we go out and find the same one, or maybe we find one they didn't see or something like that. I think the thing with dogs, with conservation dogs, is that we're non-invasive, and a lot of the other, like spotlighting is not really invasive, like putting a camera trap out, it's not super invasive, but there are different projects that in the past might have to use more invasive techniques for whatever it is that we're doing research on. But with dogs, because they're portable, they can work in the daytime. So, right, we don't need to be out there from, sundown to sunrise like we do with spotlighting, which is really fun, by the way. I have done it. So we can work at a different time and gather different information. So I think that's one of the really special things about dogs is that because we're using their nose as opposed to things that like we as humans would identify an animal with, we can optimize like different times of the day that you might not use before.
That's kind of what I meant. Not that dogs are like more powerful than any technology, but basically I was thinking they must bring something special to the table that, they're still using them as opposed to outsourcing all of the work that dogs do to a kind of computer or something like that. Definitely.
I think the non-invasive aspect is super important too. I think a lot of people, when I'm out there looking for scat, I'm not bothering an animal. I'm not looking for said animal. And when I'm out there looking for ferrets, it's during the day. They're really not out. So again, I'm not bothering them. I've never had a ferret like pop out at me in rigs. It would be very adorable, but it's never happened to me. But yeah, so I think that's an aspect that a lot of people are interested in. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why dogs are valuable. Different research projects.
That's really cool. I love that. And like they're detecting things, and there's not a technology that mimics like what their noses are doing, right? Like there's not some kind of like scat like metal detector is what I'm envisioning.
Would be, not that I know of, but when I worked at Penn, we were doing cancer detection with dogs. And the idea wasn't to like use dogs in a hospital. It was to learn how dogs detect odor so that something could be created to mimic that. But with scat, no. Not that I know of personally.
Yeah.
There are so many times. Oh, go ahead.
Or maybe if there is some kind of technology like that, like right now it's so expensive or bulky that it just still makes more sense to have live animals doing that job.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like there are times when I'm out there that so when you're looking for scat, you're utilizing your knowledge as a human or anything, not just scat. You're utilizing your knowledge as a human to go, I know this animal's habitat. I know what to look for. I know where they normally poop, basically. But it's so interesting to be out there with a dog because there are so many times where I'll be like, I think we need to go this way. And my dog will just like shoot up the side of the mountain. And I'm like, where are you going, friend? And then there I am following him and there's a scat. And so it's really cool because dogs can also tell us really unique things about where an animal might be because we as people just have a very different set of understanding. Like we're following what we know based on research and like our history as biologists, but the dogs really don't know any of that. They're literally just following their nose. So it's really cool to watch that happen.
That sounds so awesome. Okay, I have a question that may or may not work as a transition, but based off of when it came out. And I really just want to know on a personal level, have you ever seen the Animal Planet show Meerkat Manor?
Obviously, yeah. Obviously, I've seen that show.
I just rewatched it for the first time recently, and I don't remember the year that it came out, so I don't remember how old we actually were when we were watching it on live TV, but I
Middle
remembered it.
school.
Yeah, that seems right. My memory of it was like a soap opera of meerkats.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I went to rewatch it because I was like, is this really true? Like, did that really exist? And not only is it true, but there's like a bajillion seasons of it and spin-offs on top of that.
There are spin-offs?
Yeah, I don't remember what they're called, but
Wow.
I think that they were maybe that they followed specific like offshoot because you followed like certain like tribes is probably not what they're called, but families, and yeah, I think some of them left and did their own thing, or I don't know.
Do you think Meerkat Manor was the catalyst for Real Housewives?
Oh my God. Probably. I think the Meerkat Manor was probably the catalyst for all television as we know it today.
You're right.
That was the blueprint. Yes, well, as of right now in fall, winter of 2025, Meerkat Manor is on Tubi for free if anyone is interested in watching it, and all of the spinoffs are too, I think. So that's my TV recommendation for the day.
It's a good one.
Yeah, okay, but middle school, childhood, tell me about your experiences with animals as a kid, and were you obsessed with them? Did you think that did you see in your future that you were going to be doing this conservation work?
Yeah. I mean, I watched so much Animal Planet, so it's funny you brought that up. I think I was like glued to the screen, and my parents would come down the stairs, and they have this joke that when I'm watching TV, I talk to the TV, and they would come downstairs and be like, what? And then they'd be like, oh, she's not even paying attention to me. It was a lot of Animal Planet that I would just be like yapping back at the television screen in front of me.
Oh my God.
Show is top 10 most extreme.
Yes,
so,
me too. I love that show.
I looked it up a few years ago and like rewatched some stuff, but I learned so much about animals, like from Animal Planet itself and from other TV shows. And I really sought those shows out. Like when I was home alone, I would watch those like hours and hours long documentaries about like dinosaurs or sharks or whatever it was. Like that's what would keep me company if I was by myself.
Okay.
And my like first, I've always loved animals. I used to be the kid like picking up slugs or spiders, like at sleepaway camp. I'd be like, I got it, guys. Get out of the way. And I actually didn't have dogs growing up at all. So it's weird a little bit now that I've become this like dog lady. But yeah, I don't think there was any like mystery to where my life was going as a child. I wanted to work with animals in some way. I feel like the easiest way kids know to work with animals is to be a vet, which is an incredible profession. I don't think I could be a vet, and I commend the vets because I'm always calling them. I'm like, my dog did this one thing, and they're like, it's probably fine. And I'm like, okay.
I also wanted to be a vet as a kid, and then when I went to the vet for the first time with my childhood dog and saw them give vaccines, I was like, I don't like this. They just hurt animals all day.
Oh no.
I think that's something cool though about like the growing online dog community. I think there's lots of things about it, but one of the cool things about it is like being able to share like cooperative skills and like handling techniques. And so I also feel like it gives vets like a way to talk to us about like their lives and their jobs and what they look for. And so I just think it's interesting. I still don't think I could be a vet, but I'm happy to have them around me.
Oh, yes, of course. How did your animal obsession as a child start to transfer into adulthood? What transition happened there?
I'm not going to lie. I think I've been the same person since I was born. Like, I think a lot of the traits I have are just like more mature traits of who I was. So
I love that.
Pretty much like any opportunity I had to talk about animals, there I was. I did a lot of projects in school on different animals that I was interested in. I think one of the first times I really like took charge of my interest in like the environment and wildlife is in 6th grade. We were given like, I don't even remember the prompt, but I ended up talking about global warming. And I gave this whole presentation on like polar bears and different animals that were affected by global warming. And so that just like continued throughout my life. I like in high school, like I took more advanced biology classes. And then by the time I was in college, I was pretty committed. To the bit. I was like, here I come, wildlife world.
I didn't know that. So you like went straight into this field. You weren't messing around?
Yeah, I went to college for conservation and ecology is the name of my major. And I also sustainability. I got a minor in sustainability. So like environmental health, wildlife health, things like that. And while I was in college, I took a lot of my own time to like be in different labs. I worked a lot with frogs and salamanders, which was so fun and really out of my comfort zone because I thought I was a mammal girly.
And then full circle moment, which maybe should be saved for later, but I'll say it now, is went to college in Arizona and I volunteered with Arizona Game and Fish doing their spotlight surveys for black-footed ferrets. And then I interned at Game and Fish and I worked on giving plague vaccines to prairie dogs because one of the reasons that ferrets went almost extinct is due to the plague. Their main source of food, the only source of food, are prairie dogs. So when the prairie dogs die out, the ferrets die out. And when the ferrets die out, the prairie dog population rises. And so it's just like this imbalance, right? It's like It's like the wolf cascades in Yellowstone. It's a similar idea here.
Ferrets are eating prairie dogs?
Yes. So they live in prairie dog colonies. Yeah, it's their source of food.
I feel like they should be friends.
No.
Oh my God.
I mean, maybe some of them are friends, but I doubt it. So yeah, so when the plague comes through, it really is a problem for the ferrets. I mean, for the prairie dogs too, they're dying. So my life has been like a real legitimate full circle moment because one of the biggest projects I do, biggest meaning like one of the ones that I've done the most at Working Dogs is the ferret project. So I've really spent a lot of time, especially out in Arizona, working with these animals, not with them. I really don't see them, but working on this project and around prairie dogs and ferrets. And it's really special to me. So when I say I really haven't changed since I was young, I mean it. I'm still working on the same stuff I did like 10 years ago. So
wow, that's so crazy. Okay, tell me about what dog catalyzed or what animal, I guess besides prairie dogs and ferrets, catalyzed your entrance into the industry.
Yeah, I was thinking about this a lot, and I think it goes back to my like school projects. When I was in 5th grade, I did a project. So I'm from just outside Philadelphia. And so I was lucky to have Philadelphia Zoo nearby as, a place to get out all my nerdiness. And we were going there in 5th grade and you had to pick an animal to like do a project on that is at the Philly Zoo. And I was so obsessed with cheetahs. Like I was so obsessed with big cats. I thought they were the coolest thing ever. And I think my obsession with big cats, like just is what kept pushing me forward and forward. And that was really the first animal I remember being like, I think this is the coolest animal ever. That and red pandas like are the top two. Like if there was a project even throughout college that they were like, pick a random animal and do this, like it was a red panda or a cheetah. So
I love that. I feel like those are like cool girl animals to be obsessed with.
Oh, thank you so much. That's why I chose it. No, just kidding. But yeah, that's what kept me going. It's like just, I don't know, doing research on these cool animals that I just wanted to learn more about and wanted to spew at people.
I love that. Cool. And then you were involved with Penn Vet at some point?
So after college, I had worked at, like I said, I worked at Game and Fish as like an extended internship after college. But my family's from Philly. So after I finished my internship, my family was like, you should just come home. You live so far away. And I really, really wanted to just dive into conservation work. And at this point, I had like no interest in dogs. Like I was a cat person. Like in my vision of my future life, I was like, I'm going to have 100 cats and we're going to live together, traveling to do wildlife work. So I don't know if I do something similar now. I just have like 2 or 3 dogs instead of 100 cats. But
when I moved home, I applied for a lot of different jobs. I really like working with kids. So I was looking into like kid conservation stuff. And one of my friends from elementary school, high school, was like, hey, my mom volunteers at this place in Philly with dogs. You like animals. They're looking to hire a research person. You should apply. And I knew nothing about dogs. I was like, why would I apply? Like, I don't know anything about dogs. I do wildlife. But my mom encouraged me to apply because, like I said, I was at home. And honestly, like once I walked in there, I was like, oh, this is really different than what I expected. Like I had never encountered a working dog before. What
did you think they were going to be like?
I had no idea. Like I thought I bombed my interview because they were like, what do you know about working dogs? I was like, because I'm a good interviewer. I was like Googling them and what they do. And I was like, well, like narcotics, explosives, like service dogs. And they were like, well, we don't do service dogs. And I was like, okay, sorry. I knew what a police dog was or anything like that, but I had never actually interacted with them. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really have any expectation. I was kind of just like, oh, this is an opportunity and I'm looking for a job. Mm-hmm. And yeah, once I started there, it like all clicked for me. It was pretty much like that was what I was looking for without knowing it.
That's awesome.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. And when you saw them and you were impressed, was it how good they were at their jobs, or was there something else that made you impressed by it?
I think it was just their energy. And I think one reason I was uninterested in dogs at first as just like a pet, like I guess other than just never having one, was I thought that like all dogs just like automatically loved you. And I kind of liked the pull of the cat because I was like, you got to get in there and like prove you're worth it to them. Mm-hmm. And I think what I initially liked about working dogs was that they might, like a lot of dogs do have that like outward friendly, like, woohoo, play with me.
Yeah.
But I think what I liked about working dogs was that in order to gain their like trust and relationship with them, you did have to put in work and you had to work together with them to become some sort of team. Yeah. And I think I really liked that connection that you can see between handler and dog, or even just like friend and dog, Yeah. So that's what really clicked for me. And what I don't know, a few days into that job, I was like, I think my life just changed.
That's so cool. And that makes sense to me too. I always appreciate a dog who makes you work a little bit for their affection. So I relate to that. So how did you start? Obviously, you're really into training now, dog training. Mm-hmm. How did you start to learn about it? Did they teach you all about training at Penn Vet? Did you do a lot of online research? And I actually don't know already where Riggs came into that timeline, or if he was your first dog.
He is my first dog. So I was at Penn from 2018 to 2019. So I've been working with dogs. Is it 2018? Yeah. For, 8 years? I don't know. I'm bad at math. So I'm still, I guess, like a newbie in the dog trainer world. So at Penn, I was a research assistant. So I was working in the research lab doing research with ovarian cancer detection dogs and artifact detection dogs. So I got to help run research projects. And so the training for that was kind of like part of my job. I learned how to work a dog in research, about arousal control, markers, and then like, just in general, running a dog for research and what I would look for and how I would run a dog, which I still do detection research. So that was so valuable for me getting into that role because it has followed me like through life. And I loved doing research so much that I sought it out further. And then while you're at Penn, you can kind of, if their time allots, like kind of poke your head into other parts of the training world. And I was always really intrigued by bite work dogs. I kind of bonded with this one Dutch Shepherd. Her name is Jolie. She is still a working police canine. And I don't know what it was about her, but I just clicked. It was like one of those moments where, like, if you're picking out a puppy which I've actually never done, but if you're picking out a puppy and you're just like, that one spoke to me, She spoke to me. I worked really, really hard to be her friend and have her trust me. And I got to take her home a few times, and she was just a really special dog to me. And I became obsessed with the idea of having one. So being in the research lab, I learned so much about dog behavior, dog research, dogs learning, and then actively like detection work, scent detection. We also did drive testing throughout the dog's life. So I learned a lot about that and what to look for. And then outside of that, I started seeking out like, hey, can I help you? Can I hide for a SAR dog? Can I like watch you do this? Can I watch you do that? So I kind of just, it was a really amazing opportunity. So at my start, I was lucky to learn at Penn. And then Jolie is the dog that got me into being like, I want my own.
Yeah.
Pointy dog.
Did you say she was a Mal?
She was a Dutchie. So I wanted her. Like, I wanted to recreate her in my life. Like, when she went to her new home, I was sobbing. I was happy because, like, that's the hardest thing about Penn is you work with these dogs and then they grow up and go on to their jobs and you're happy because you work so hard for it. But then you're like,
yeah. Was she the first Dutchie that you had met?
Yes. Okay. They had a litter at that time, so there were 6 of them, but yes.
I was wondering, the first Malinois I ever met, I also fell in love with right away.
Really?
And I started researching, breeders and just videos online. And at that time, I would just like watch videos of Malinois being like lowered down from helicopters, and I would just like cry. I'd be like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's so funny because one of Jolie's siblings I think she's retired now, but went to the DOD as a search and rescue dog and literally did that.
I had no idea before I met the breed and just started researching what they did. Like, I had like heard of police dogs before or whatever, but I'd never looked into it and I'd never seen that much. So yeah, just seeing the like highest, or what some people would say, like highest caliber expression of like maximum dogness, like dog ability, it's cool. Yeah.
Crazy. I have 2 things to say. One, it's funny because you were obsessed with Mals and I was obsessed with Dutchies, and we switched because you have a Dutchie and I have a Mal.
Yeah.
I just think that's funny. But yeah, it's crazy because there are dogs at Penn that were like challenging to handle. Like, they were just really high drive. I was new to it. And in some ways, I kind of found my place with dogs and handling and training. Like, so I have 2 older sisters, and throughout most of my like high school, middle school career, I kind of took like traits of them and put them into me. So like one of my sisters played volleyball, so I played volleyball. One of my sisters is an incredible performer, so I went into choir. And so when I was younger, until like wildlife and stuff, I never felt like there was something that was mine until I went to college. And then when I came across dogs, I was like, oh, this is mine. Like, this is for me. And this is what I'm good at.
Oh my God. I had the exact same thing. I totally, I wasn't stealing traits from sisters or anything, but
sorry to my sister.
I just, I was really depressed before I started working with animals. I was just like working a retail job, at a young age. I dropped out of college, and the depression was very existential, where I was like, I don't see like a point of like what I'm here for in this world. Like, there just wasn't a lot motivating me, and I totally found an identity and purpose through dog training, and it kind of like made me into a real human being.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. There's something about them that like, if it's meant for you, they'll draw you in, Like,
yeah.
If you're not meant to train them, then you won't want to. Totally.
No, but I love that we have that in common. Just this like something clicking inside of us. Yeah. Was
like,
there?
I just didn't know that about you.
Yeah. I feel like this is going to keep happening, but I think because at least the people that I'm like initially thought of for round 1 of interviews, we have whatever connection we have. And I think I just feel like I have a lot in common with you and Jess, who I interviewed first, and I'm wondering if it's going to keep happening. It's cool.
And maybe you'll find connections to like new people you haven't met yet too. Be like, oh, no wonder I was drawn to you.
Yeah, totally.
I was thinking about this dog at Penn, this German Shepherd, and she was really challenging to handle. She was reactive, but like when you were her friend, she wasn't people reactive. She was just a cool dog, but she was challenging to take out of the kennel. And I remember I struggled really hard one time, and a trainer came up to me and was like, here's how we're going to do this. And it was super helpful. And then months later, an intern was taking her out and was struggling. And I was able to be that person to be like, hey, this is how we're going to do this. And it was really cool. I don't know what it was about that moment. I remember I went back to that trainer and I was like, I did it. Thank you. And she was like, look at you go.
Yeah, that's like the most validating moment is when you understand a dog the best in the room. I was going to tell you the first Malinois I ever met, unlike your story, it was just a random daycare dog who was in a random daycare. But a lot of people, the trainers were having a really hard time with her because she was just a really different type of dog than the dog that they normally had in there. And I have these pictures of me and her at that time, and the daycare attendants were walking her out to potty on a chain leash and also a muzzle, which is like, no biting the leash. We have a muzzle on to make sure that doesn't happen. But if somehow the muzzle gets off, the leash is also
have a chain leash.
And I have these pictures of me carrying her in my arms outside. Oh, and
that's so sweet.
Like seeing the dogs that I've seen now, she was actually a pretty mild version of a Mal. But yeah, that was, I didn't know about working dogs at the time, but I just saw this dog that was like bad, and I was like, I just love you for some reason.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's the energy. It's that like chaotic energy.
Yes. What have animals done to teach you about yourself? I guess we kind of just touched on that, or maybe I hogged that question talking about myself.
You can hog the question. It was a good answer.
What have they done to keep you grounded, or just like what role have they had in your life since you started working with them?
Yeah, I think animals teach us a lot, not only about like ourselves individually, but the world around us and like how important they are to who we are as a species too. Like when you think about the environment or different like biomes and things like that, like animals are so pivotal to how things just like exist in our world today. And so I think it's really important, like even animals are like that you might not think are valuable are super valuable because they have a specific role in their ecosystem that like helps keep things going. So I think in general, like just being an environmentalist and being a conservation biologist, like animals all together help like ground me and give me this like broader picture of like what we're all doing here and why we're here and why it's important and why different like places in our world are important. That you might not ever think about. Like, I remember when I moved to Arizona, people were like, isn't that just a desert? And that boggled my mind because there are so many amazing creatures that have like adapted to live in hot environments, or plants that have like grown their roots longer to like gain access to water more easily, and or plants that can live without water for months, you know? And I think that like that has been really grounding for me as I've like gotten older. And then in terms of dogs, I think just owning a dog is grounding. I spend so much time watching them, listening to them, interacting with them, like so detailed and intricately that I'm like really almost like at peace watching them. Like I just sit there and like cock my head a little bit, squint my eyes, and like, what are you thinking? Like, I think for dogs, like that's really getting a dog and like starting the process is really grounding for me because it really brings you back to square one of like, because you could train 1,000 dogs and you get a new dog and all of a sudden it's totally different. And you're like, what are you saying to me?
Totally. Yeah.
I want to listen.
Yeah, to be a good dog trainer, you have to be a good observer, which is inherently like mindfulness practice, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's my favorite thing about dog training is watching a dog and watching their reactions, watching them solve problems. Like, I just find it really fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about what it's like handling detection dogs out on the field is the right vocab, right? In the fields, you're in it, not on it, because you're one with it. And what is different about handling these conservation detection dogs versus like what someone might think of as like regular dog training?
Yeah, I think there's lots of differences. So, for one, with these dogs, with a lot of detection dogs, one of the things that you look for is independence, right? Like, you want a dog that engages with you in play, but feels confident and independent enough to be in new environments regularly. So, for my work, like, we are looking for really confident dogs, and we can build that confidence. Like, we get a lot of rescues, so it's not like every dog comes to us ready to jump on a boat, like we're working these dogs up. And so confidence and independence, like, all lead to a dog that's like, it's honestly like beautiful to watch, like to be out in the woods with my dogs, like watching them conquer the world around me is awesome, but they're also going very fast sometimes, depending on the project. So one of the big differences is I like to say that my eyes are in 3 different places. So it's really important that you're out there to collect data, right? Like, we're out there as a team, me and my dog. And yes, we're having fun, but we've also like been hired to do a job. And it's really important to make sure that you're collecting data correctly, and in the most ethical way. So I'm watching my GPS, making sure I'm where I'm supposed to be. If I have lines, I'm on my line. I'm also like watching to make sure if there are any dangers. Let's say I'm in bear country, if there's a bear, or if it's, kind of smoky outside, or smoky, like visibility is low. Like, maybe I'm keeping my dog closer because maybe there's a cliff edge and I don't want my dog to run down it without me seeing them. Snakes, that's a big one. So safety is huge in the field. So I've got my eyes on my surroundings, on my GPS, and then also on my dogs. It was really challenging at first to learn how to do all those things. That's like the biggest difference in other detection I've worked, is making sure that you're like really keeping an eye on your dog, because like, not only for research purposes and like finding what you're looking for, but like health, safety, like making sure they're not getting too hot or too cold, or they haven't stepped on something or things like that. And in other fields I've worked, you're much closer to your dog. You on leash a lot. And I've done a lot of SAR too. So I feel like that's in my head. If you've never done conservation work before, I feel like SAR is pretty similar. But when I'm thinking of like narcotics or explosives, it's a lot of leash work, which is not my forte. So I'm not great at it, but that's one of like the big handling things is definitely like having your dog be that independent dog, and then you having to realize, okay, what's my role in this process? It's not just my dog out there. Like, we're a team. Like, I know things about what we're looking for, and my dog knows things about what we're looking for. How do I make sure I stay safe, my dog stays safe, and I'm gathering the information that we're supposed to be out here gathering together?
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of stuff all at once.
Wow. Okay. That sounds so hard and interesting and fun and maybe kind of scary sometimes. Are you looking for different body language from dog to dog? I'm wondering if the different dogs that you work have really different tells, or if there's some major overlap in body language when you're deciding, if you're following that dog or however that works.
That's a great question. And I'm going to give you a long answer. No. So at our organization, we've been around for, I think this is 25 years. So we've been around for a while, and we have 4 canine field specialists, and we have enough dogs that we are able to split dogs kind of into like primary and secondary handlers. So when you're moving from dog to dog, yes, a different dog is going to have a different tell. So I primarily work my personal dog, Riggs, who tested and made the program when I joined the organization. And then I work a Labrador named Charlie, and I also work a Spaniel Aussie mix named Moose. And so when I'm working Riggs, I've known him the longest. So for me, like I just kind of like feel when things are shifting, you know, I'm like, something's changed. Like I've worked with him long enough that we're really in tune with each other. And for him, he's actually really great to teach people with because he has a really clear change of behavior. He has really nice head turns. His tail will slow down instead of like fast trotting tail. His shoulders will drop to the ground, and he'll start to spin a little bit. So as I work a dog, you gain that perspective. Like Charlie works super different than Riggs. And it took me like, you know, practicing with Charlie's main handler to learn what he looks like when he's found something. So yeah, it really is just like getting to know that dog for sure. And what dogs you work primarily.
That's cool. And that goes right back to what you said about, you know, getting to know the dogs and the observation skills. And for those who don't know, change of behavior means that the dog has found odor, basically, right?
So change of behavior is when it's exactly what it sounds like. The behavior has changed enough for me to take notice. And then a lot of times our changes of behavior, you'll have like a few, and then all of a sudden your dog is alerting. And so that change of behavior is your dog leading you to the target odor. And then you'll have an alert behavior, which is for us a passive alert, which means a sit, a down, a stand, stare, whatever it might be. But an active alert would be like search or rescue, like barking, or a recall, refind, things like that. So yeah, so a change in behavior is like a clue to the puzzle of your dog telling you about what they're sensing. Sometimes a change of behavior is the right answer. Like sometimes there's just a lot of odor out there, especially when you're working where we work. Like sometimes there's so much odor you end up running into that your dog might just be like, I can't, whoa. And so a change of behavior is like, you're right. Let's work together to like pick one of these or whatever it is. So it's not always like your dog is right or wrong. It's kind of just like a story being told and you're watching your dog like writing.
Yeah. Are false alerts a thing in this work at all?
Yeah. I mean, in any detection work, dogs might false. And in some of the work that we do, we can't tell if the dog is right or wrong. So we do a lot of... That's what
I was wondering, right? Like how do you even find out if they're false alerting or not?
Yeah. So in some cases you can. I'll just like give a general example. So if two scats are really similar because the animals are similar or have similar diets, your dog might think that another scat is what you're looking for. And if you know the scat well enough, you can say like, sorry, that's not right. I don't want to know about that. Or thank you very much. But we're not looking for that. Also, if your dog knows multiple like targets in one area, you can like kind of work through that.
Because you're doing multiple projects and like, do they ever encounter the wrong target odor?
Yeah, it's not even like wrong though. It's just like, if I'm looking for wolf and there happens to be bear in the area, I'm still going to reward my dog for finding bear because that's what they're trained to do. So I would be like, wow, good job. Here's some cookies. And then maybe for my target species, I'd like give them a toy or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Hang on. Riggs is going mad. He's stealing things off of my shelf. We try not to train dogs on things that they're going to encounter like on different projects. So their repertoire should be pretty separate for the projects that they're doing, if that makes sense. But it's okay if that happens. Like it's not abnormal or unusual in this field. I think I also like, I don't know, it tells you more about the area in general, whether you're looking for it or not.
Yeah.
Information.
Do you have to do a lot of proofing in your training off of anything in particular that you are likely to find out in the wild?
Yeah, it depends on the project for sure, and on the dogs. But yeah, if there's like something that
we don't want the dogs on, we can proof them off of that in training. So the answer is yes.
What is there anything in particular that tends to be the most distracting for them out there that you have to proof off of?
I think every environment is different. And to be honest, I wouldn't say that our dogs are like distracted by the environment. That's actually one of the criteria we look for the most when selecting dogs is, so we're looking for dogs with high ball drive, which often coincides with prey drive. And so one of our biggest like selection criteria that cuts a lot of dogs from our work is that they have prey drive and they do get distracted by like mice or deer or anything running by them. And so when we're selecting dogs, we do select dogs that don't get distracted by that stuff. So I would say that our dogs are pretty like on task when we're working. They know what they're looking for. Like, also, like, the different environments can pay to like different ways of searching or like different animals that you're looking for or whatever it is that you're doing. So like, I feel like they kind of innately know too, like when I get in this environment, I kind of know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if proofing would feel different in that situation, because I'm thinking about how when we do like competition nosework training, we're making sure that our dog isn't going to try to like go for a piece of cheese that's in the box or something. And that's so specific, where the dog encounters the box that's the same kind of box as, the rest of the containers that they're supposed to be looking in. And they're like, I don't know, it kind of seems like I should maybe get this cheese right now, which is so like artificial as opposed to going out and the dogs maybe kind of have their blinders on for the rest of the world.
We have fun with our dogs in training too. Like we'll put food out, toys out while we're searching. So they learn to ignore distractions, right? Like that's the training is, can you ignore distractions to find your odor? Like that's the proofing. And then in research, like because we're doing distinct discrimination of like odors, that's where like a lot of what I think you're thinking of like proofing, like, are you taking a similar odor and showing it to the dog to be like, this is not right. This one is right. And that I feel like would come like, that comes really regularly in discrimination work because you're asking the dog to discriminate something usually like hard and challenging for them. So you really have to make sure that they're picking the correct thing.
Like two odors that are similar, but you're teaching the dogs that they're just looking for one of them.
Yes, exactly. Got
it. Okay. Okay. So you work your own personal dog rigs in the field, not on the field. And I am wondering, how uncommon is that to have your own personal dog get into the program? And if it was harder to train him than maybe like a quote unquote green dog or a green rescue dog. And if the audience is listening and they're curious if maybe they could do that, like what's the % chance that their own dog is going to make the cut?
Yeah, that's a fun question. So in our organization, we mostly take rescue and rehome dogs, but we grew pretty quickly. So a few of us got hired at the same time. And so a few of our current dogs are dogs that were owned by people that got hired at the organization. There are conservation organizations out there that specifically hire dog handler teams. And most organizations have in-house dogs or something of the sort. So I wouldn't say that it's like never. There are lots of people out there. I feel like this is a growing field and there are so many incredible people working in this field. And there are definitely people out there that have their own dog and are looking to do their own thing. But I am not as well versed in that type of entrance into the field because I was involved in like multiple organizations.
Yeah, that makes sense. So logistically, that's just like not usually how that happens.
Yeah, I also think that this is a really like challenging field to break into because it's pretty new. And that is like not to discourage people. I'm a part of like multiple organizations that invite and encourage new people to learn and find experiences and opportunities. So there are opportunities growing, I would say. Like there's internships, there's different like programs that are community science based. So like we had a community science class and we taught dogs in our local area how to use our detection material for research. And then we're hoping over time that we get some dogs and we can bring them in for research. I'm pretty sure Penn has done that. My friends at New York, New Jersey Trail Conference have done that. People in Europe have done that. So I feel like because the field is growing, there's more opportunity for people and their dogs to get involved, but it does take some digging. And there are lots of seminars, webinars that people can like learn more about. And there's also like ways to get involved that don't involve dogs. So like, I don't know, like building material for stuff. Like people at Penn used to do that for us a lot. Like they would build agility material and then you're like involved in the dog world, but you don't like need to have a dog to like help and aid. So I encourage people to like follow different organizations, find these events, like, you know, they're out there, but it's a growing field for sure.
Gotcha. How did you know that you wanted to train Riggs to do it? Or was it just obvious you had a Malinois, you were doing this job?
So I met Riggs when I moved to Tucson. I was just finished my time at Penn and I was starting at the Arizona Canine Cognition Center at the University of Arizona, where we were working with pet dogs. And I was hired specifically to do dog-kid interactions and different projects with that, and also just like general canine cognition work. And that was very cool. And I met Riggs because I was really into training and I started getting really detail oriented with my training. I really wanted to do bite sports. I really wanted to be involved in sports. And actually, bite sports was not on my mind. It was sports in general. And I reached out to a trainer in Tucson and started shadowing him. And this girl around my age walked up with Riggs. And I was like, I like Malinois and I don't have any friends here. Do you want to be my friend? And we're still friends to this day. But Riggs and her were not a match. And so when she decided that she wanted to rehome him, she offered him to me first. And I was still working in the cognition world. And I was actually at a conference giving a talk about my previous research at Penn. And not a talk, I was giving a poster presentation. And I talked to a lot of people and I don't know, she was like, hey, can you let me know by tomorrow? And I was like, I cannot imagine my life without this dog. Like the idea of him going away was crazy to me. It's funny because I told her to look into working dogs for conservation. I was like, I think he would be really good at that. And yeah, so I got him because I wanted to do conservation detection. Like that was my goal. And I was talking to a lot of people just to like learn more about it. I had already like known about different organizations for a few years. So I wanted to train my dog and do this work. And actually when I got to WD4C, I didn't really expect him to be in the program. Like he's, my personal dog. I didn't want to like push to be like, here's my dog. I was like, if it works out, works out. If not, whatever. Like he's still my dog. And it just worked out that he made the cut and joined us. But yeah, I was training him. Like you asked earlier if you got into like webinars and stuff. I did so much dog training, research and webinars, seminars, detection, obedience, bite work. Like I was doing anything I could to like learn more about dogs, basically.
I love that.
And that's how I got involved with Riggs. And he loves his job. I love watching him do his job. It really is. It's incredible watching him work. It's incredible watching any of them work. It really is special.
Yeah, that's so cool. And what is canine cognition research exactly?
Yeah. So canine cognition work also varies. It's learning how dogs like learn and interpret the world around them. So at the Arizona Canine Cognition Center, I did dog-human interactions. So children in particular, and then their personal dogs. And then I was also like virtually doing service dog work and looking at service dogs' reactions to different stimuli or questions or problems and how that influenced them as service dogs. So it was a lot of different types of work, and it really solidified to me that I'm a dog training nerd and I just like want to pick apart dogs' brains.
That's really cool. So it's just like any kind of cognition you can think of, they're doing research on that?
In general, yeah, there's so much cool stuff that people are asking questions for about dogs. And there's quite a few different centers like around the US, like college programs in particular, that focus on canine cognition. So yeah.
That's really cool. Whoa. Okay. Awesome. And I think you kind of already talked about how to get involved with any of this, but do you have anything else to say if anyone is inspired after listening to this, what they should do to help?
So if you're interested in working dogs for conservation, we have an Instagram and a Facebook page, and we're really active on there. We also have a newsletter where you can learn more about the work that we're doing or any like upcoming webinars. We've had quite a few webinars this year, and sometimes we host workshops and things like that, or conferences that we work together with other organizations for. So definitely keeping up on our socials. And then we just updated our website, and it's awesome. Our website before was also awesome, but we have a few new pages. So you can see like what we look for in dogs. And we have video examples of like how we test dogs. If you ever have a dog that you think would be interested in this type of work, that you're looking to rehome. And then we have more information about like all the different projects we've done, what our facility looks like, our day-to-day life. So yeah, we are on the internet. And you can find us on the internet.
Good. And I'll put links for everything in the show notes. I feel like everyone that I have planned ahead to, I'm like, I think we need like a 4-part podcast actually, because
I mean, you could I bet you other people I work with would be like super interested in talking about like specific projects they've done.
I would love that. Are there other conservation like working animals besides dogs?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I just saw, I'm saying yes because this is like last few months, it's popped up on my feed and then people have like showed it to me. There's an otter that does, actually it's human remains, but still there's an otter that does human remains detection in like water environments. And that's very cool.
That is really cool. And I guess
more.
there's like mice that do like explosives detection.
Giant pouch rats? Is it pouch? Giant something rats. I'm forgetting their name. That's a super cool organization.
Yeah. And they're looking for like landmines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel I just did a little flex that I know things too.
You know so many things. There are so many animals that have, here's my spiel. There are so many animals that have an amazing sense of smell. And I think like what sets dogs apart, obviously like we just established that like other animals can work with people to do this type of work like this. Mm-hmm. So I just saw this guy that like runs his minks with his birds for ratting. And I'm like, how did you train a mink? That's so cool. Anyway, God. I think what really like makes dogs special, especially in this field of detection, is that like bond with the person, right? Like you're in these challenging environments. Like there are times that I'm like on my hands and knees crawling on the ground, or like, you know, crawling up the side of a mountain, or I'm in the rainforest, you know, like you're in these challenging environments, and as independent as your dog is, like looking for their odor, like at the same time, you might need to help them and they might need to help you. Like if your dog takes off, you have to be able to say like, hold on a second. And it's really cool that like that bond of human and dog that has like, dogs have literally adapted to communicate with us specifically. It's that bond that allows us to really do this work well. And I think it's what makes this job special is like getting in there and doing it with your partner, like, you know,
yeah,
your dog that you train, you raise, you hang out with.
That's so freaking cool.
I don't know.
That is awesome.
I wish I had more elegant words.
No, that's perfect. I feel like this is really cool and inspiring and refreshing perspective on like how we think about dog behavior and how we interact with our dogs too.
Yeah. Well, thank you.